Welcome back, everyone, and we're going to be taking a look at the daily upside. Today is March 3, and we're going to see what's going on in the markets this morning. So, good morning. For the first time in 3 years, organizers announced Wednesday that the New York City Marathon will return to full capacity this November with 50,000 runners hitting the streets in the world's biggest event of its kind. Wow, this is so good, you guys. I'm so glad we're going back to normal. That gives anyone who participated in this week's return of Mardi Gras in New Orleans about 8 months to get back in shape after all the King Cafe, gumbo, and one too many Sazerac cocktails. Morning brief. A lack of childcare workers is creating a labor shortage feedback loop. Mark Benion's backed startup will let companies monitor their green investments with satellite precision. Netflix drops 70 million on a video game studio. Wow, that's crazy. Netflix getting into games too? That's crazy. So what's going on with the child care system? Let's see what's going on. Labor. Child care worker shortages create waves in U.S. workforce. As Omicron cases wane and mask mandates are lifted, more and more Americans are positioned to re-enter the workforce 2 years after the economy came to a screeching halt. But for some reason, there's still a literal child-sized ball and chain slowing the job hunt. A new report from Wells Fargo says childcare labor shortages are affecting 460,000 American families, and it's beginning to weigh on the nation's economy. Office place. America has been mired in a wider labor shortage for months, but the dependence of workers of all stripes on childcare makes the shortage in this sector particularly important. Journey saw a blitz of 467,000 new hires nationwide and a seriously low 4% unemployment rate. But women, that is to say mothers who often carry the burden of childcare, are participating in labor force at decade low rates. Wow, this is terrible. Terrible, you guys. We really need to get the moms out there working again. I'm pretty sure they want to go make money too. It's not fun to stay home. I mean, there's pros and cons, right? So the childcare sector has fallen far behind its hiring spree recently seen in most industries, and the lack of caretakers is beginning to take toll. And I think one of the reasons for this is actually because the pay is so low, you guys. I actually applied for a position to work with children, and the pay was like WTF. You guys are offering way too little money. And I think that's why there's not enough workers, Me, someone who wants to get in it, I'm not doing it for minimum wage, close to minimum wage. You got to pay me more than that, right? So I think that's a huge problem that the childcare sector is going to be running into, right? So especially when Target's offering $24 an hour, like how do you compete with that? I'd rather go work at Target than to take care of some kids for like 17, 18, right? So they're in a tough position. They either got to start charging more, or the government's going to have to help out. It's going to be tough. But back to the news. The daycare service industry employment rate is still 12.4 below pre-pandemic norms. In comparison, the total employment deficit is just 1.9% according to Wells Fargo report. The labor participation rate of women with children younger than 3 is 28% lower than men with children under 6. Federal employment data doesn't include men and children under 3, standing roughly a million potential workers at home. Right on target, childcare wages rank among the lowest in the nation according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. At an average of $12.25 per hour on Tuesday, retail giant Target raised its minimum wage for some roles to $24, meaning would-be caretakers suddenly have even less reason to burp babies. Whereas childcare is already a massive expense for parents, with services costing an average of $11,000 a year per child. And it's so funny because I was just talking about this, and honestly, I don't read these emails before I read them with you guys, so I had no idea they were going to talk about Target. But it's what I'm telling you guys. Like, no one's going to work for $12. What is this? It's an average of $12 an hour to take care of some kids. Why would you work there when Target is almost paying double? It just doesn't make sense, right? So this is a huge problem that I think the caretakers for children are facing, right? So lucrative adventures in babysitting. Not everyone is upset. Babysitters called upon to fill the gaps are making bank. Data from babysitting marketplace services Urban Sitter shows rates leaped 11% in 2021 to $20.57 an hour, far higher than the old school $20 flat fee plus whatever you want from the pantry rate of your. So exactly, like everything's going up. Maybe I should get, what is this, Urban Sitter. I need to look for a babysitting job because that seems where the money is at, right? And usually when you babysit, people pay you cash. So I don't know, something to think about, right? So the environment. Benioff-backed satellite-powered carbon marketplace eyes global expansion. Greenwashing, or the marketing of green services and investments that aren't as eco-friendly as they're trumped up to be, is a real concern for firms that want more planet-conscious portfolios. In this case, of carbon offsets. One company is giving them an eagle eye to watch where they put their money. Carbon marketplace startup NCX announced Tuesday that with 50 million in new funding, it's launching an international expansion of a network that lets firms monitor their carbon offset purchases with satellite precision. That's very good, especially for this next generation. We care about the environment, right? So good things come in trees. NCX runs a marketplace that pairs companies looking to reduce their carbon footprint with landowners willing to suspend or reduce timber operations in exchange for a fee. Because green business is business too. As a result, carbon absorbing trees remain standing an NCX platform where landowners map their trees, checks annually via satellite to make sure they stand the way. The company already has a major client in the US, including Microsoft, Cargill, and Rubicon. NCX latest fundraising round, which includes participation from JP Morgan and Benioff's Time Ventures as a returning backer, will allow the company to expand outside the US into a fast-growing segment. NCX will use the funds to first launch in Mexico and Canada, and also to develop tools to monitor more natural resources beyond trees. The so-called voluntary carbon market is small, but it's growing at an inevitable pace. Last year, the market topped 1 billion, more than double the 473 million in 2020, according to environmental finance organization Forest Trends and EcoPlace Marketplace. Easy sales pitch. As explained by co-founder Max Nova to CNBC, basically we show up to landowners and we say, hey guys, heard you like cutting down trees for money. Hey, and they say, yup. And we say, how about not cutting down trees for money and growing them for carbon instead? And this is such a great idea. I really love this, especially because I feel like we're just cutting down trees and not growing enough, right? We're not planting enough trees as like instead of we're just cutting them down. So I think this is really good, you guys, especially for our environment. You guys know that there's a lot of talk about global warming and stuff like that. So I think it's good that there's a company doing this, and I love this. And I really hope that more big companies do this, because it's always the big companies that have to start it so that small ones can follow, right? So this is a sponsor. What are they talking about for streaming? Now playing on Netflix, Your Teenager. Movies and video games have been intrinsically linked for years by both the arcade machines still found in lobbies of your local multiplexes and the hundreds of games based on big screen adventures. Who can forget GoldenEye's 007 on the Nintendo 64? I love this game so much, you guys. This was a classic game. I gotta go back and play it. On Wednesday, Netflix announced plans to cash in on that connection and added to it by buying a video game studio for the second time in 6 months. The streaming giant will spend more than 70 million on Finland-based studio Next Gen Games, the creator of games based on TV shows, including Netflix's own Stranger Things. Ready Player One. Netflix launched its own gaming service, creatively named Netflix Games, in November. The company paying subscribers can download titles to their smartphones or tablets, and the acquisition of game studios will allow it to create bespoke gaming content for those subscribers, just like it does in streaming film and television. In some cases, the studios will be used to enhance the company's existing high-profile IPs. As well as Stranger Things themed puzzle game, Next Gen Games created 2 Walking Dead games for AMC. The network, which licenses all 10 seasons of the popular zombie show to Netflix, happens to be Next Game's largest shareholder, and it approves of the sale. And it said it approves of the sale. In September, Netflix bought Night School Studios, creator of the supernatural teen thriller Oxenfree. Around the same time, it released Stranger Things in 1984, Stranger Things 3 the game, Car Blaster, Teeter Up, and Shooting Hoops for iOS and Android devices. Netflix isn't the only streamer looking to nearly $180 billion video game industry as a source of users and income. Amazon and Apple have increased their investments in video games, while Oculus owner Meta is becoming one of the top destinations for live streaming video game content. And honestly, you guys, I just went to Vegas and I tried out the Army of the Dead experience with the Oculus, and that thing was so crazy. I can't wait until we're living in this virtual reality zone playing video games. I think it's gonna be amazing, right? This one time, while gaming studios are a hot acquisition target, at least one is asserting itself in the role of buyer. Epic Games, creator of worldwide sensation Fortnite, announced Wednesday that it's acquiring music download site Bandcamp. So, extra upside, wearing a Fitbit Ionic smartwatch right now, bad news, it's been recalled after dozens of reports causing burns. Wow, that does not sound good. The seventh most valuable soccer team in the world, London Chelsea FC, is up for sale. But back to this Netflix thing about them getting into video games, you guys. I think this is so awesome. I love playing video games, and I think this is going to be a great move for Netflix. Personally, I have not tried out their video game platform on Netflix, but I probably should do it, right? I should maybe make a video playing their video games because I haven't done it yet, just to kind of try them out and see if they're like on the same playing field as like iOS games and stuff like that. But anyway, this was the Daily Upside, the March 3 edition. As you guys can see, a lot of stuff is going on. We didn't really see a lot of regarding like the UK and Russia situation, which I think is good. I think it provides some sort of relief for the markets, even though today the stock market kind of went down, but it just happens, right? But if you enjoyed me reading you guys the news, make sure to hit the like button, make sure to subscribe. I like reading the news every single day, so why not read it together?